Have you ever had that moment where you go to use your phone that's been plugged into charge, only to find that you haven't plugged it in properly? Maybe that's how you feel today. You feel like you're plugged into God, but there's no sense of God's power at work in your life. Sometimes our lives as followers of Jesus feel exactly like that. Daily, we're trying to be good, to be kind, to serve, but actually, we're doing so whilst running on empty. We're working so hard to do the Christian life, we aren't actually living it. Jesus in John 15 gives us a comforting yet challenging invitation. He says this: I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, so that it will be even more fruitful. You're already clean because of the word I have spoken to you. Remain in me as I remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself, it must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If you do not remain in me, you're like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. This is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. I love that opening verse. I am the true vine and my Father is the gardener. And Jesus isn't just painting a nice picture of a garden here. He's giving us a way to live life that flourishes. The heart of this passage is the word remain. Another word for this is abide. In the original language, it means to stay, to reside, to make your home. Jesus says, remain in me as I also remain in you. Think about the creation story as we find it in Genesis. God created humanity to walk with him in the garden. That was the original design, to remain together in true connection. But throughout the Old Testament, we see God's people trying to find life from other sources, be it in political power, in golden idols, or just in trusting in human strength. But in Psalm 1, we're told that the person who meditates on God's law day and night, that person is like a tree planted by streams of water. It's a picture of how a constant connection with God equals life. Now, when a branch is cut off from the vine, it doesn't try harder to be green. It doesn't worry about if it will produce grapes. It will simply die. As followers of Jesus, our biggest mistake is thinking that following Jesus is a series of things to do. We think that if we read more, pray more, and volunteer more, we will grow. But that is not what Jesus points us to. He says that growth isn't our job, but that the connection is. If we stay connected to him, the fruit will come. However, Jesus introduces a person in this story who might scare us, the gardener. Jesus says he cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, so it'll be even more fruitful. Now, many of us hear those words or read them and think that if we're not perfect, God is going to cut us off. But let us look closer at what Jesus actually points us to. God the Father is the gardener. Now, when a gardener prunes, they do so because they love the plant they're caring for. They prune it to remove the dead weight and things that are preventing the plant from flourishing and reaching its full potential. I don't know about you, have you ever been through a season that felt like a pruning? At the time, it doesn't feel great. But remember these words from Paul, who wrote to the early church in his letter to the Hebrews. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace. Now, in times of pruning, we must remember that God, the gardener, is not setting out to hurt you. He's instead preparing you for a greater harvest. So trust the gardener, trust God. He knows exactly what needs to go so that what is truly important can grow. Now, if we remain, if we abide, if we're pruned, what are we supposed to produce? Well, Jesus tells us, this is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit. Now, we often think that the fruit we will produce should be greater success, reaching our dreams, or simply seeing all our troubles disappear overnight. But if we look at the rest of the New Testament, specifically Galatians 5, we see that the fruit Jesus speaks of is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Now, this is the life connected to Jesus. And you can't fabricate these things on your own. You can't force yourself to be peaceful when your inner world is chaotic. But if you're connected to the vine, the life of Jesus begins to flow out of you. When Jesus' life is in you, his love, his joy, his peace will show up in all that you are. But how do we do this? How do we remain in Jesus in a world that seems to be moving ever faster? Well, we need to start the day with the source of all life. Before checking our notifications, listening to the news, or being distracted by the to-do list, spend a few minutes in the Word. Reading just a few verses and allowing it to settle in your life is how we begin to remain connected to the vine. Then we need to invite the gardener in. When life gets difficult or hard, don't run from God. Ask God the Father as the gardener to prune your life where it needs to be. It might hurt in a moment, but the benefits are eternal. And Jesus' promise to all of us is this: if you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish and it will be done for you. Now, this isn't a blank check for our own desires and greed, but the promise of what happens when we bring our lives into line with him. When you are so close to the vine that his desires become your desires, you'll find yourself asking for the very things God wants to give you. Now, we're not called to be professional fruit makers, but we are called to be branches that can bear God's fruit. So let us be a people who are known not by how hard we work, but by how well we remain in Jesus. So be blessed and go bless. Amen.